Good morning, Thursday, July 18th, 2024. Okay, what am I doing today? Well, first of all, it's a beautiful, beautiful morning. Let's turn the camera around here. Check that out. So, the sun is not up yet. Let's check the mountain out. Looks pretty nice. So, what am I going to be doing? Well, I got to start the truck up and I need to bring some firewood to my mom's house. Now, let's take a look here. Before I can actually get any firewood, I gotta take this into the burn pile to my property across the road. So, and how did this actually get here? Well, when the truck was parked over there for a year, I told my mom is that if she had any branches or anything from the garden that's burnable, not to take it down into the orchard, into the burn pile, just put it onto the truck so that when I would return in the summertime, I would haul it away so she doesn't have to do the walking. So that's what I got to do. Take the branches away, and then I need to bring the truck over there, open that tarp, start loading up the truck, and start bringing the firewood to the house. So that's my game plan. And of course, it's very labor intensive, lots of work, and with the temperatures getting as high as 37 degrees, who wants to start working at 10 in the morning? So here I am, 7:25 in the morning. It's warm. Maybe I could have started earlier, but then again, if I'm banging away, making too much noise, the neighbors, I don't want to inconvenience them and wake them up and stuff. So there's a bit of a balance. You can't go too early. You don't want to go too late. So that's where we stand. Anyways, I got to get to work. You want to see me doing some firewood today? Tag along. Let's go. Okay, so while the truck is warming up, I'm letting it warm up for a couple minutes. Even though it's warm outside, just give it a few minutes to warm it up. I need to take off this tarp off the firewood that's stacked up. This way, if there are any hornets or wasps or anything like that, bees, they're not too active this time of the day, the morning. So hopefully they'll fly away. They won't come after me because there's always bees there. There's always wasps. There's always hornets covered up. I mean, they love it, being in wood and stuff like that. Anyways, I'm gonna uncover it, drive away, take the branches into the orchard, come back and start filling up the firewood. Okay, there's the firewood. Got it uncovered, and very nice that there are no wasps or bees flying around. Maybe there are. Maybe they're still sleeping, but as I was uncovering it, I was being careful and to be on the lookout for some wasps or bees or hornets or something. But everything is good. All right, let's go now. Truck is warmed up, and let's go take the branches into the orchard. Okay, so this is the burn pile. There are the branches. I got to take them off, throw them into the pile, and away I go. So this should take me probably about a minute and a half. There it is. Everything is off. And that's that. Actually, I want to give you guys a little bit of a backstory. I refer to this as the orchard, and clearly there is no orchard. So I'm going to turn the camera around, and as I'm panning around here, I'm going to explain what I meant by the orchard. Okay, so my mother's house is just across the road and on top of the hill. My property runs along this fence line right here, and it goes way down to where those poplar trees are, right there, those white ones. There's another road there. And this side of the property, you could see this fence post here, and another one there, and it goes up. Now, for example, you see there's an apple tree, there's an apple tree, there's an apple tree, here's an apple tree. So on my property, I have 5 of these trees, and we refer to them as heritage apple trees. These trees were planted somewhere around 1912 to about 1925. And this whole valley here, right here, this whole bench used to belong to our family. Over the years, it either got sold off or because it was shared cousins, so that used to be my cousin's house. So my dad's sister owned that side of the property, and so on. So I actually purchased this property here in 2004, and I purchased it from my sisters. So I thought, well, maybe one day I will live. Plus, it's in our family for now over 100 years. And these apple trees were everywhere. You could still see them. There's apple trees right there. They're old. I, believe it or not, I actually take care of my trees. So I do prune them or take the apples off or any dead branches. There it is. Now, what I also did, this was during COVID. So during, 2020, I was home. I came from Korea, and I was here in Canada for 25 months before I took off to Russia. So what I did was I got myself some power. So this is a powered box. With my backhoe or excavator, I dug a trench all the way. There was a new pole, that one right there was put in. So I have power coming to the property. I also had a well dug. That is the well head. There's 35 gallons a minute, or what is it, 35, so 140 liters a minute. So there's a river. And this power box right here has enough power for 10 houses. So you could see here, it says July 2020. That's when this box was put on. I call it the sarcophagus. It's a box in the middle of the field. So whenever, if I do plan on building, I have power, I have water. And in case you're wondering, what is the size of this? This is just over 2 acres. It's 2.1 acres. Convert it into sotiks. So those people that are watching in Russia, сколько соток? Well, if 1 acre is 40 sotiks, 40 соток, это будет 84, 84 sotiks. Okay, so that kind of gives you a bit of a backstory on this piece of property that I own. And I don't know, I might not end up building. Maybe I'll give it to my sons. Maybe they will want it. But for now, I know that it's in our family. It's not going anywhere. If I want to build, I have power for 10 houses. Oh, in case you're wondering, why is it power for 10 houses? Well, those power poles, the power utility company Fortis told me that one power pole costs $20,000. And from where that pole is to where this box is, it's 410 feet. So they couldn't string just one line. They needed 2 power poles here. So it would have cost me $40,000. Instead, I was able to do it myself for under $20,000. Same with the well. Some people say, well, maybe it's like putting money into the ground. Well, yeah, it is. That well right there, it's there. It's capped up. All you need to do is open it up, put a pump in, and away you go. So it speeds up the whole process of if I want to start building, or if anybody wants to start building, the power and the water is here. And most important, water, you know, land is land, but land without water is nothing. I am very blessed to have 140 liters per minute, or 35 gallons a minute of water. I've got lots of power here, and we are good to go if I want to start building. Okay, let's get back in the truck. Let's go get some firewood for my mother. Okay, in front of us we got some wild turkeys. Here they are. They're everywhere in the valley here. Wild turkeys. There they are. Good morning, turkeys. Oh, yeah, and they fly. Believe it or not, turkeys can fly. All right, let's keep going. Okay, so we just saw those turkeys a few minutes ago, and you're probably wondering, what was I doing on a road when I was telling you that my property's across the road from my mother's house and it's up the hill? Well, what I did was, after I dropped off those branches, I was able to go just continue driving forward, and there's another road that borders my property, which is down below. So instead of driving up the orchard and waking up the neighbors, I decided to drive on the road, and I came around. So the road comes around and I was here. Okay, I got another backstory to tell you. This next backstory is about the firewood, okay? And it's actually quite interesting. So I'm going to turn the camera around, and while I'm panning around, I'm going to tell you an interesting story. This firewood, I had it collected from up the mountain, and I had it split and stacked and covered 4 years ago. Okay, so what I had here, when it was all said and done, I actually built this little corral. I had firewood right up to here, and it was during COVID. So during COVID, I was here in Canada, and really, I had nothing to do. And I figured, you know what, I'm going to get my mother some firewood. So, and just to my luck, the price of gasoline dropped. It dropped to 67 cents a liter. Okay, what is the price of gas today? $1.79 a liter. So it was 3 times cheaper. So I took advantage of very, very cheap gas. Why was the gas so cheap during COVID? Well, because nobody was driving on the roads. Because nobody was driving, the gas companies were forced to lower the gas prices. Anyways, so I was able to go up the mountain. It was so cheap to get gas, or to get firewood. And I was actually going over that mountain, a place called Deer Park. That's where I was going getting firewood. There was so much firewood everywhere. And, you know, there's a Russian saying, "Дальше лес, больше дров." Basically, it translates to, the further you go, the more firewood there is. Well, that's exactly what it was. Usually people go quite close to their home because it's expensive to drive your vehicle. But because gas was so cheap, I was like, hey, I'm going to go as far as I can go. It doesn't matter. So I was going further, and the further you usually go, the more wood there is because less people are getting the wood. So I had the cream of the crop. It was springtime. It was like April, May. So it was not hot weather, and I just kept going 2, 3 times a week. And each time I would go, I would bring 2 cords of firewood. And I had everything here. So that way I knew that when gas prices go up, I got my stockpile of wood. And that was that. So just like now, here I am coming back from Russia. The weather is really hot. You actually cannot go into the forest to cut firewood. Why? Well, the forest is too dry and it's closed for getting firewood. So it's like, no. Well, what do you do if you have only a few weeks, let's say like me, being here for a few weeks? What do you do when your mother needs firewood? Buy it? Well, that's kind of expensive. I got the reserve stockpile. So had it had been more of a wet type of summer, yeah, I would have went into the mountains and I would have saved this, like they say, for a rainy day or for a hot day. In this case, it's very hot outside. It's going to be like not minus. It's going to be plus 35, 37. It's going to be hot. Can't go into the mountain. What do? Just like going to a supermarket. I just drive to the back, get my mom her year's worth of firewood, bring it into the house, load it off, stack it for her. She doesn't have to worry about anything for the winter. And the firewood is in, all set and done before August 1st. Okay, so that's the backstory about this firewood and how I got so much of it. I don't know. I was blessed. and I took advantage of it. There's that saying, carpe diem, seize the day. Well, that's what I did. Is I seized the day on that. Cheap gas, why not go and get as much firewood as possible? Plus, it was social distancing, when we had to wear those masks. So, you couldn't be around people. What's the best thing to do? Go into the mountains. There was nobody around. Okay, got to start loading on the wood. Okay, I'm all done loading up the truck. Here it is. I put on a little bit more than half a cord, maybe 3/4 of a cord onto the truck. For those of you that know your firewood and lengths and measurements, each row, I had it measured out when I was building this corral. Each row is 1.5 cords. My mother burns between 3 or 4 cords, so 2 rows and the bit will be enough for 1 season for my mother. Okay, so truck is loaded. Now what I got to do is I got to walk back to the house. My car is in the carport. I got to drive the car out, put it onto the lawn, and then come back here, jump in a truck, drive over, back into the driveway, and throw the wood off into the carport. All right, let's go do that. Okay, so I moved the car out of the carport, and now I'm going to drive the truck. I'm going to back it in, park right over here, and throw the wood off. So usually what I do is, so this was 2 years ago, I actually put a new fresh tarp against the wall so it doesn't dirty up the wall. So usually I get 2 rows that are just as high as this, maybe a little bit higher. 2 rows of firewood here, and I also stack in the basement for my mom, so that when it's really cold outside, she doesn't have to come outside and freeze. She could just go into the basement and put the wood in. Okay, so back up the truck, bring it here, unload it, and that's that. Okay, here it is. Got it all parked, and I'm gonna start throwing into a big pile right over here. Once I have everything thrown off, then I'm going to start stacking it. So here it is. It's a nice load. That's nice wood. For those of you that are wondering what kind of wood this is mostly larch. There's a little bit of fir. This is fir right here. This is larch. And I do have very, very little bit of pine. So most of it is larch and then fir. Okay, here it is. I threw it all off. It's all off the truck. So now I'm gonna take the truck away, come back, and start stacking. So I'm gonna be stacking against the wall over here. And if it gets too hot, I'll stop for the day. Remember, it's gonna get probably to around 37 degrees. So it's gonna get warm. Anyways, most important thing is that I need to make sure that this area right here is clear so that if somebody comes, they're not going to be jumping over the wood. And that's that. Okay, let's go take the truck away and let's start stacking. So just before I start stacking, I want to see what the temperature is like. It's about 26, 27 degrees. So it's still a little bit cool, but once the sun comes around the house, and if I'm still working, it's going to get really, really hot. So I got to get as much as this done as fast as I can before it heats up or before I start burning out. Okay, let's start work. What's the temperature now? About 28, 29 degrees. All done. All stacked up before the heat. All I got to do is now just sweep this up, take it away, and there it is. So how much more does my mom need? Well, gonna need 2 rows to the black line, maybe a little bit higher, and an equivalent amount in the basement. So downstairs near the wood stove. Okay, there it is. This is it for today. For the firewood part, at least, I am done. And I don't know, I think now I'm gonna go into town and get myself some Slurpee or something. I don't know, something cold to drink.